The campus belle didn't want to attend the same university as me, so my childhood friend tricked me into changing my first choice from Peking University to HKU. By the time I discovered the truth, the application system had already closed. Furious, I confronted him, only to be met with a bitter smile. You two never got along, you know that better than anyone. Just come back to Beijing after graduation. I'll be waiting for you here. I was stunned and heartbroken. 15 years of love and my future meant nothing compared to her smile. So this time, I stopped fighting, packed my bags and headed south alone. What he didn't know was this: for years from now, or even longer, I won't be returning to Beijing. 1. The moment I clearly heard Zhou Siyue's words, it felt like being drenched with a bucket of ice water, the chill piercing to the bone. No wonder Zhou Siyue had been avoiding eye contact all day. Pressed for answers, he admitted to deceiving me and came up with that ridiculous explanation. But by then, the college application system had just closed. There was no way to undo it. I still couldn't believe it and blurted out my accusation. Even if Jiang Meng didn't want to attend the same university, couldn't she just change her own application? If she wanted to stay in Beijing, there were dozens of universities to choose from. Why did she have to trick me into applying elsewhere? Zhou Siyue's expression froze for a moment before he instinctively reached out to pat my head in consolation. For the first time, I turned my head away in rejection. He withdrew his hand awkwardly and added with some discomfort, Ningxu, stop this. The whole class knows Jiang Meng's childhood dream was Peking University. She'd never give that up. Why insist on Peking University when you're clearly picking a fight with her? People really do laugh when they're speechless. Is Peking University not my dream too? I retorted in confusion. I earned my admission score fair and square through blood, sweat, and tears. Why shouldn't I be allowed to apply to Peking University? Does Peking University belong to her family? Or is the university only accepting one freshman this year? If she's so capable, let her make Peking University admit only her and reject all other applicants. Zhou Siyue frowned, his expression growing increasingly unpleasant. Ningxu, stop being so argumentative all the time. They meant well. Peking University's campus is so small, I was worried you'd get upset running into each other constantly. That's why I came up with this win-win solution. Besides, she applied to PKU first. You've been deliberating for days, which shows it's not like PKU was your only option. But Jiang Meng's situation is different. She only applied to this one school with no backup plan. You wouldn't actually prevent her from going to college, would you? I was shaking with rage, my voice trembling. I submitted late because I was carefully considering other options. What kind of bullshit reason is that? Who in their right mind would turn down Peking University? And you, Zhou Siyue, last night you tricked me into changing to HKU together, then went back to PKU yourself. Think this is funny, don't you? Zhou Siyue's brow furrowed deeper. Yet his gaze deliberately avoided mine. I really didn't mean to deceive you. Weren't you watching me make the changes together last night? But somehow my parents found out today. They absolutely refused to let me leave Beijing, and forcibly changed everything back. His voice trailed off at this point, swallowing the unfinished sentence, deliberately not informing me about reverting the application choice. The air hung heavy with silence for a long while. Zhou Siyue let out a long sigh and continued with earnest persuasion. Ningxu, Jiang Meng's grades can't compare to yours. Without those art specialty bonus points, she'd never have made it into Peking University. Can't you just give in to her for once? I looked up at him in disbelief. Give in to her. That phrase again. The past 2 years, ever since Jiang Meng came into the picture, she disrupted the unspoken understanding and routines between Zhou Siyue and me. The phrase I heard most from Zhou Siyue was just humor her. Jiang Meng just transferred to our humanities class and doesn't have many friends yet. Cut her some slack. Jiang Meng's scared to walk home alone after night class. It's just a small detour to drop her off. Can't you be a little considerate? Jiang Meng didn't understand this major problem in class. Is it really worth getting mad over letting her borrow your seat for one evening study session? I don't get it. Jiang Meng clearly has plenty of friends, even when I just walk down the hallway. Her little clique gives me warning glares. Jiang Meng's family even had a chauffeur to drive her to and from school every day. She never needed to walk. My relationship with Jiang Meng's deskmate was terrible. During evening study sessions, she'd often take my seat to ask Zhou Siyue questions, leaving me with nowhere to sit. I'd end up awkwardly squeezing in with my best friend at her tiny desk, but whenever I brought this up, Zhou Siyue would just dismiss it as me being petty. His tone shifted from casual to serious, until it finally carried unmistakable resentment toward me. Ningxu, I don't belong to you alone. don't be so possessive. Over time, I started questioning whether I was just being overly sensitive and petty. Jo Siue was just helping classmates out of kindness as the class monitor. But now, even my dream university has to be given up to her for some absurd reason. How ridiculous. Don't my efforts and aspirations deserve any respect? Utterly disappointed. I didn't even glance at Jo Siue, nor did I want to exchange another word with him, turned and walked out of the school. 3. Tears kept streaming down my face the whole way. After knowing Jo Siue for 15 years, I never imagined he'd lie to me for someone else, especially about something as crucial as my future. My phone suddenly rang. My bestie Mingyan bombarded me with question marks. Why is your Jo Siue going public with the campus belle? My heart skipped a beat before I could process it. Then she sent me a screenshot of Jiang Meng's WeChat Moments post. It was posted 15 minutes ago, right after the college application system closed. The dream school I've loved since age 10, someone moved mountains to make it happen with me. /blush, alongside her selfie. The post included 2 screenshots of college application forms, even with one blurred. I instantly recognized Jo Siue from the listed majors. This vague, seemingly official relationship announcement was flooded with happy 99 wishes. Even Jo Siue had liked it. So that's how it is. I've always been the odd one out. My heart ached uncontrollably again. Last night's memories flooded my mind. Jo Siue suddenly reached out, begging me to secretly change universities with him in another city. He said he wanted to rebel for once and go as far away as possible. Tired of being constantly controlled under his parents' watch, I was really torn about it and had to grit my teeth to turn him down several times. Peking University has always been my dream school. Besides, given my family's special circumstances, staying local would take the most pressure off them, so I never even considered studying out of town. But last night, Jo Siue seemed dead set. He wouldn't let go of my hand until I agreed. I couldn't resist his intense gaze and persistent pleas. In the end, I caved like a spineless fool. 4. Jo Siue, the name scribbled on every page of my teenage diary, the one I've secretly adored for so long. Just hearing his name makes my heart skip a beat every single time. The thought of being apart for 4 years breaks my heart, especially that night of his 18th birthday. It was the first time he got tipsy. Under the moonlight on the lawn, he clung to me, refusing to go home, insisting I stay with him to watch the stars, amidst our playful tussle. He claimed my first kiss with irresistible determination. Those whispered vows of passion still echo in my ears, as vivid as yesterday. Ningshu, let's stay together forever. Okay, we'll attend college together, work together, marry each other, and never part for a lifetime. My heart nearly burst with joy back then, foolishly believing my secret crush had finally come true, counting down the days till college, dreaming of being openly together. Looking back, I was just a delusional clown all along. For such an absurd reason, I became the one who was gently let go. He asked me to step aside, not just Peking University, not just Beijing, him included. I might as well surrender everything to her. 5. Before I knew it, we'd arrived at the KTV entrance. Mom was selling skewers at a street stall nearby. I quickly wiped away my tears and spent a long time composing myself around the corner. Only when I was sure no one could tell I'd been crying did I walk over to her. Mom's face lit up for a second when she saw me, then immediately started scolding. Sweetheart, didn't I tell you to rest at home after submitting your college applications? Why are you here helping again? I can manage just fine by myself. Don't you worry about it. I just smiled, put on an apron, washed my hands, and got straight to work. It's okay, Mom, I've been resting for days after the exams, before school starts. My words suddenly trailed off there. My chest felt heavy as if weighed down by a boulder, fingers unconsciously tightening around the dishcloth. I didn't know how to broach the subject of changing my college application choices with her, all because of my lovesick brain. I'm blindly heading off to college so far away. For the next 4 years, I won't be able to help her with the street stall or take care of grandma, not to mention tuition and living costs. There are more than double what they are inland, even with partial scholarships. It won't be enough. The more I think about it, the more it terrifies me. 5 years ago when Dad's business went bankrupt, he swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills and left us forever. Mom, who had lived comfortably at home for years, pulled herself together and started this little barbecue stall. Working day and night, she managed to put me through middle school and high school, while also supporting my wheelchair-bound grandmother. Mom's once jet black hair now shows streaks of silver. Yet I was so immature, my mind was in turmoil, the regret cutting deeper. Why did I ever fall for Zhou Siyue's temptation in that moment of weakness? I'm such a fool. Dazed, my phone suddenly buzzed a few times. A WeChat message from Zhou Siyue popped up. Still mad. Don't forget about tonight's gathering. Shall we have a proper talk after this? I dismissed the notification without replying, perhaps unsatisfied with the silence. The WeChat alerts kept chiming incessantly. I mechanically skewered the meat, unwilling to engage. Seeing this, Mom smiled and coaxed me. Is IU asking you out? Then you'd better hurry along. They say Peking University's coursework is intense. Make the most of summer break before term starts. If you're short on cash, I'll wire you some. You got into Peking University. At least I've done right by your late father now. You have no idea how envious the whole neighborhood is of your mom now. I've finally made it. Haha. Really made your mother proud. Beaming with joy, Mom reached for her phone. I quickly wiped my hands and stopped her. Just then, the phone began to ring. Before I could decline the call, Mom answered with a smile and pressed the phone to my ear. Zhou Siyue's mellow voice immediately came through the line. 6. Still sulking, you little grudge holder. Not even replying to my texts now. Seriously giving me the silent treatment, when I remained silent. He sighed and continued, alright. Princess, I admit I didn't handle this properly, but you've got to give me a chance to make it right. And don't tell me you forgot Jiang Chuan's confessing to his crush tonight at his birthday, and you promised to be part of the hype squad. I cut him off coldly. I have other plans, so I won't be going. In our past Cold Wars, whenever Zhou Siyue made the first move to reconcile, I'd quickly meet him halfway, but this time, I clearly had no intention of taking his olive branch. Zhou Siyue was getting irritated too. Ningshu, you're being unreasonable now. No matter how upset we are, we already promised to come. We can't just ruin everyone's mood. If you're still upset, Jiang Meng will be here tonight anyway. I'll bring her along and we'll both apologize to you in person. Alright, about changing your college preferences. He kept rambling on, but I couldn't take it anymore. Hung up immediately. Blocked the number. Peace at last. Thankfully Mom was too busy to notice my conversation with Zhou Siyue, or she'd have grilled me for ages. I muted my phone and kept my head down skewering kebabs. Sometimes the kindest thing is not to stir the pot. Beer and barbecue joints always do roaring business on sweltering summer nights. I was running around all night without a moment to spare, let alone time for idle thoughts. Before I knew it, dawn was breaking. The fresh charcoal must have gotten damp. It simply wouldn't catch fire. I fussed over it till I was at my wit's end, blowing and fanning to no avail. As I knelt fiddling with the stubborn coals, a woman's startled voice suddenly rang out nearby. Ningshu. 7. The sweltering heat of a Beijing summer night still lingered unbearably. The air hung thick with humidity. Hearing this, I raised my sweat-drenched face from the charcoal fire. Through the swirling kitchen smoke, Jiang Meng's startled face instantly caught my eye. Beside her stood Zhou Siyue, his brow deeply furrowed. The other friends stood further away, eyeing our direction curiously, mostly Zhou's childhood buddies, plus a few of Zhang's close girlfriends. The group was dressed to the nines, looking like they'd just stepped out of a karaoke bar. Ningshu, it really is you. I told Aiyue it looked like you, but he refused to come over. I heard your mom was running a skewer stand, but never thought we'd bump into you here. Jiang Meng seemed delighted. After exchanging pleasantries, she turned and loudly called the others over. Zhou Siyue stood frozen in place, shooting me an icy glare as he said, So, Ningshu, you'd rather ignore my texts, block my calls, and grill skewers for pennies outside this KTV than step inside to show me some basic respect. I kept silent, fanning the flames with my head still lowered. The group of guys and girls had already approached, their unabashed chatter clearly audible. Is that Ningshu? Who's Ningshu? That girl who's always tailing Zhou Siyue like a shadow. Oh. The meaningful discussion was abruptly interrupted by Jiang Meng's sudden suggestion. 8. Hey, aren't you guys hungry? How about we grab some late-night snacks here? Let's support Ningshu's family stall. They're going through tough times, and this could help fund her college education. The place seems busy enough. The food probably isn't bad. Jiang Meng's makeup was flawless, and her strapless mini dress that evening accentuated a youthful sensuality with a hint of maturity. Her expensive eyeshadow sparkled as she spoke, making her look especially charming and adorable. A stark contrast to my disheveled appearance, covered in soot, grease-stained hands, and grime everywhere. A stark and cruel contrast. At 18, lives diverge in wildly different directions. This truth I've long known, but here and now, standing before the person I've loved for so long, I still felt an awkward urge to flee. I turned back to my tasks, trying to avoid those complicated, scrutinizing gazes, yet Mom came forward warmly. Xiao Shu, are these all your classmates? Is IU here too? Come sit down, kids, order whatever you'd like, it's my treat tonight. With that, Mom quickly cleared 2 tables, gave them a thorough wipe down, and started pushing them together. Seeing this, Zhou Siyue immediately stepped in to help her move the tables. Murmurs of conversation rippled through the crowd just then. Ugh, eating here. This place is downright filthy. Ew, everything's so greasy. God knows what kind of slob from the urban village sat on this stool last. Just thinking about it makes me want to puke. Xiaoming, look at this meat. Could it be zombie meat? Is this even fit for human consumption? I never eat at street stalls anyway. Mom's hand froze mid-wipe on the stool. Zhou Siyue's expression darkened as he turned to admonish them. That's enough. Adshin maintains impeccable hygiene and is an excellent cook. The gossiping group fell silent, their complaints dying on their lips. I've been seething with anger for a while now. I rushed over and stopped Mom from continuing her chores. Then I turned to Jian Meng and her group, saying, our family has always run an honest business serving ordinary folks. We can't compare with your nouveau riche households. Would the noble ladies and gentlemen kindly step aside? We wouldn't want any grease stains on your fine clothes. Jian Meng immediately protested with hurt in her voice. No, Ningxu. I genuinely wanted to help you and support your family business. My friends might be blunt, but they meant no harm. Zhou Siyue's expression grew increasingly darker. Ningxu, they didn't mean it that way. You're reading too much into their sarcastic tone. Don't take it personally. Our families rarely let us eat street food. We're just used to upscale restaurants. That's all. I had nothing more to say to him, just pointed at the road to hurry them along. We working folks need to make a living. If you're not buying, please don't block our stall. Mom fell silent too, standing there awkwardly rooted to the spot. Zhou Siyue stared at me for a moment before turning away in silent anger. The others followed suit, some pinching their noses in disgust as they left. Jian Meng lingered at the back of the crowd, took 2 steps, then doubled back to stand before me, said to me with feigned gratitude, Ningxu, by all accounts I should thank you for stepping aside. It's made my college life perfect. HKU is quite good too. IU and I actually put a lot of thought into choosing it for you. Honestly, if you hadn't been so hostile toward me every time we met, I wouldn't have needed IU to do me this favor. I never expected her to bring up the volunteer work so abruptly, and immediately turned to look at Mom. Mom's face turned deathly pale in an instant. 9. Jian Meng quickly walked away after speaking. As if just realizing she'd said something wrong, Mom nearly lost her balance. I quickly steadied Mom as tears welled up in my eyes in a panic. I blurted out through sobs, Mom, I'm so sorry. I somehow changed my first choice to HKU. I can't go to Peking University now. I was too scared to tell you. Maybe I should repeat senior year and try for Peking University again next year. I promise I'll give it my all. Mom seemed genuinely startled. She stood dazed for a long moment before finally collecting herself, forcing a smile. Oh, it's nothing. The way she said it just gave me quite a scare. I thought you'd made a mistake with your application. HKU is a great school too, sweetheart. Don't cry. Mom's unexpected reaction only made my tears flow harder. Flustered, she wiped my tears and kept comforting me. You changed it for IU's sake, didn't you? It's okay, really. Not getting into Beijing isn't the end of the world. Stop crying now or I'll get upset. Mom kept comforting me while hurriedly packing up the stall. She said we'd check the schools and majors I applied for again when we got home. I nodded through my tears and quietly followed her back home. It was already 1 a.m. by the time we got home, yet there stood a familiar tall figure outside the apartment entrance. At this hour, Zhou Siyue was actually here. Mom gave me a meaningful look, then wordlessly went upstairs, leaving the space to Zhou Siyue and me. I didn't want to speak to Zhou Siyue anymore and tried to brush past him to go upstairs. As I passed by, he suddenly pulled me into his arms before I could react. 10. The moment I realized what happened, I started struggling, but our strength difference was too great. I stood no chance against Zhou Siyue. Finally losing his temper, he pinned me against the wall. His iron grip left me no room to struggle. A pleasant buzz of alcohol instantly spread through my body. I glared up at him in silent defiance. Then I noticed Zhou Siyue was gazing at me intently too. He softened his stance and explained, still holding a grudge, all right, I apologize. This whole thing is my fault. After my parents changed my college preference back to Peking University, they immediately reset the password. I never got the chance to sync it with yours again. Even now, he still believes he was justified in making me yield Peking University for Jian Meng's sake. I couldn't help asking him. Then why didn't you tell me to change mine back too? Is Jiang Meng really that important to you? Worth throwing away my future just to please her? Zhou Siyue took a deep breath, his patience wearing thin again. Why do you always have it out for Jiang Meng? No wonder she wants nothing to do with you at university. Every time you see her, you turn into a damn porcupine looking for a fight, even at the brink of utter disappointment. The heartache still stung like countless needle pricks. A relentless throbbing pain, the motion sensor hallway light had long gone out, leaving only moonlight filtering through the entryway glass to illuminate Zhou Siyue's face. Those sharp, well-defined features I'd memorized over countless glances now made him seem like a complete stranger. We stood in tense silence, neither speaking a word. After what felt like an eternity, Zhou Siyue seemed to relent, adopting a placating tone as he spoke. All right, I surrender. But what's done is done, let's not make a scene. Okay, be good, consider this my debt to you. Go ahead and study in Hong Kong first. 4 years will fly by before you know it. After graduation, whether you pursue further studies or work, just come straight back to Beijing. I'll help look after Aunt Shin here too. I promise, even if I can't accompany you to HKU, I'll still support you if you ever struggle with tuition. Zhou Siyue kept rambling on to himself, when I remained silent. He finally couldn't help but chuckle under his breath, pressing his face close to my ear. He spoke again in a husky voice. I know what you're worried about. I promise, no relationships in college. I'll wait 4 years for you. 11. The word struck me like lightning, instantly jolting my foggy mind awake. So that's how it is. Zhou Siyue knew everything, those carefully guarded feelings of mine, those unspoken yet longed for futures. He knew exactly what that drunken kiss meant. Yet he still chose to disregard my feelings, taking for granted that I'd keep loving him unconditionally. I stared into Zhou Siyue's eyes in disbelief. As I stood there dazed and unresponsive, he pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead. I snapped back to reality and shoved him away with all my strength. The corridor lights flickered back on. Caught off guard by my violent reaction, Zhou Siyue staggered back with visible embarrassment. Ning Xiaoshu, why did you push me? You're throwing a tantrum about not going to Hong Kong because you're worried I'll be with someone else, aren't you? Feeling better now? I retorted coldly. Who asked you to wait? Be with whoever you want. Zhou Siyue let out a sigh. You've always been stubborn since childhood. What's the harm in admitting you like me? I won't laugh at you. There's no need to feel embarrassed. I cut him off decisively. Enough, Zhou Siyue. Let me make this clear. I don't like you. And you shouldn't wait for me. From now on, we're done. I'll never forgive someone who toyed with my future. I brushed past him and headed straight for the stairs to go home. I ignored the sudden grimace on Zhou Siyue's face. Zhou Siyue froze for 2 seconds before storming up the stairs after me. Ningxu, don't be so harsh with your words. Who's messing with your future? Wasn't I supposed to switch to HKU with you? But when my family objected and forced the change, what could I do? Besides, HKU is a great school with plenty of exchange opportunities. I went through all this with you last night. I was being serious. How exactly is your future compromised? You're acting like I forced you into some community college. Really? Zhou Siyue kept trailing behind me, yammering nonstop. His agitation grew with every word until he finally grabbed my wrist to stop me from going further. Besides, knowing your family's financial struggles, I voluntarily promised to cover your tuition and living expenses for all 4 years. How could you possibly interpret this dream opportunity everyone covets as me deliberately sabotaging you? I whirled around in shock, wrenching my hand free with force. Well, thank you so much for your thorough consideration, but from now on, my affairs are none of your business. With that, I hurried upstairs. The person behind me didn't follow, only a single phrase dripping with utter disappointment remained. Ningxu, I've swallowed my pride to apologize and confess my feelings to you, yet you show no mercy. Must you keep this fight going? Fine, just don't come crying with regrets later. 12. I didn't respond. Zhou Siyue didn't pursue me either, turning instead to stride briskly downstairs. The sound faded into the empty hallway. Zhou Siyue had his pride too. This was as far as he'd go with sweet talk, his absolute limit, yet none of that could undo the harm done to me. I've long made up my mind never to forgive him, nor will I accept his so-called kindness. I'd rather repeat a school year than beg from him. I never want to see that contemptuous look from Jiang Meng and her friends again tonight. When I got home, Mom was still waiting up for me, and surprisingly, Grandma hadn't gone to bed either. They were sitting quietly in the living room, the atmosphere feeling a bit off. Seeing me return, Mom immediately brightened up and came over, while Grandma wheeled her chair closer. Xiaoshu, you're back. Mom just checked, the program you applied for at HKU is excellent, with plenty of scholarship opportunities. Just go enjoy your studies without worries. Don't stress about living expenses either. I promise we've got you covered. Our stall's been doing really well lately. Grandma took my hand and said kindly with warm eyes. My health has improved a lot, so don't you worry about home. Focusing on your education is what really matters now. I was overwhelmed with guilt. My moment of impulse would cost my entire family dearly. Grandma, Mom, I've decided not to go this year. I want to retake the exams and try for Peking University next year. I stammered out my thoughts, only to see Grandma and Mom's faces instantly darken. Mom gave me a smack on the back. What nonsense are you spouting? How could you even think of not attending such a prestigious university? Your Ning ancestors would rise from their graves to curse me if we let this opportunity slip. Why should a child worry about grown-up matters? Leave those concerns to us adults. Mom kept nagging with that familiar mix of frustration and disappointment, while Grandma chimed in agreement. My heart ached so badly that I couldn't hold back tears anymore, so I rushed straight to my room and slammed the door shut. I took out my phone and completely wiped Zhou Siyue and Jiang Ming's contact information from it, buried under the covers. I cried my heart out. Everyone must eventually pay for their mistakes. I can't burden the whole family. Undergraduate studies in Hong Kong are too expensive, even with partial scholarships. The high cost of living would be hard to manage. Given my current relationship with Zhou Siyue, there's no way I could accept his help. I brought up the idea again during breakfast the next morning. Mom slammed her chopsticks down angrily. Grandma also stopped me with a grave expression. I didn't want to argue with them anymore. My mind was made up. As long as I refuse to go to Hong Kong, nobody can drag me there. I silently put down my chopsticks and walked out the door. 13. I wandered aimlessly through the streets for hours. I did a lot of thinking and research. I even looked into retake policies and potential schools. It was nearly dusk when I finally got home. To my surprise, there was another unexpected visitor at the door. Zhou Siyue's mother, Auntie Qin Xian. She was accompanied by an assistant in formal attire. Mom was about to pack up for her street stall when she unexpectedly ran into Aunt Qin. They were college classmates and best friends back then, even bought their marital homes in the same gated community. That's how Zhou Siyue and I grew up together since childhood. But after Dad went bankrupt and we moved out of the neighborhood, they lost touch over the years. Aunt Qin stepped inside, gave the room a quick once-over, and got straight to the point after sitting down. Xinyu, it's been ages. Everyone's been so busy these days, but you're looking well. Little Shu's such a good kid too, acing all her exams. Heard she got into HKU. Let me cut to the chase. I'm here to help out. University life in Hong Kong's expensive. There's 100K in this card for Shu's expenses. As she spoke, her assistant handed her a card. Mom and I exchanged bewildered glances, completely clueless about what was happening. Noticing our confusion, Auntie Qin chuckled and explained, "Oh, it's just my son Zhou Siyue. The moment he woke up today, he asked me and his dad for money. Said he needed $1 million up front to sponsor Ning Shushang's university studies in Hong Kong." My mind went blank with a deafening roar. Overwhelmed with embarrassment, I felt my face flush crimson. Mother's face turned deathly pale in an instant. Aunt Qin's lips curled into a smile, but her eyes remained icy as she added, "Frankly speaking, our Zhou family can certainly spare $1 million, but no one's money grows on trees. Sponsoring an outsider's expensive college education out of the blue, nobody's that much of a fool. Consider this 100,000 yuan as repayment for Ning Shu's father's past kindness to our family. For anything beyond that, you'll have to figure it out yourselves. That boy Zhou Siyue is too soft-hearted. He's been locking himself in his room all day without eating, sulking just to help Ning Shu." Mom abruptly stood up and cut her off. "Qin Xian, take this card back with you. We'll handle Ning Shu's matters ourselves. No need to trouble you further. I've got business to attend to. You should leave now." Mom shoved the bank card back into Aunt Qin Xian's hands and opened the door to usher her out. Aunt Qin Xian didn't take offense. Instead, she rose gracefully with a smile. "Xinyu, you're still as stubborn as ever. I told you remarrying would give you an easier life, but you insisted on humiliating yourself with that pathetic street stall. Now you're sacrificing your child's future for some imaginary pride. Is this really necessary?" Mom clenched her fists in anger and asked her to leave again. Aunt Qin Xian said nothing more, simply smiling as she walked out. She paused at the doorway and gave me a meaningful look. "Xiaoshu, I meant well. If you don't want to accept it, that's fine, but do try to talk some sense into Siyue when you can. Tell him not to keep clashing with his father over you." Trembling with anger, I countered in a low voice. Auntie, I've never asked Zhou Siyue for money. I don't know why he did that. It has nothing to do with me. Aunt Qinxin looked surprised and asked with confusion, "Oh, you're quite an interesting girl, knowing your family situation, yet you convinced our Siyue to apply to universities in Hong Kong together. Fortunately, someone told me he'd foolishly changed his application to follow your lead, his father, and I corrected it immediately, otherwise it could have ruined his future. Our Siyue has always been naive, even after your family fell on hard times and moved away. He kept treating you like childhood friends, we adults never interfered, but, at this point, she patted my shoulder and said with grave sincerity, but his future partner mustn't be just anyone, not every family is worthy of that match, a person's greatest virtue is self-awareness, don't you agree, Xiao Shu?" A tidal wave of anger and humiliation crashed over me, I clenched my jaw so hard it ached, barely keeping my composure, unable to contain herself any longer. Mom raised her hand to slap her, but her tall assistant swiftly intervened and blocked the blow. Aunt Qinxin's face twisted into a mocking sneer. "Xinyu, you're acting like such a shrew now. Control your daughter properly and face reality, know your place and abandon those delusions of grandeur." Mom yanked me inside and slammed the door shut with a bang. 13, Mom, I stood sobbing behind the door, my guilt growing heavier. I never imagined things would turn out this way. Dragging Mom into this humiliation, Mom let out a deep sigh, hugged me tightly and comforted me for a while. It's okay, I know you'd never do such things, and we won't take a single penny from their family, let's talk later, I need to set up the stall first." Wiping my tears, I nodded and started getting ready to help her with the street stall. Back in my room, I found a handwritten note from Grandma on the desk. "Dear Xiao Shu, I've been feeling much better lately and want to spend some time back in the countryside. Promise me you won't repeat the school year, you must go to university." My heart skipped a beat as I immediately showed the note to Mom. Mom was about to leave when she read it, then frantically called Grandma in a panic. The phone just kept ringing until it went to voicemail. I was completely panicked and at a loss. Your grandma really went and tricked me into thinking she was watching the dancers downstairs. How could she possibly make the trip back to the countryside alone with her bad legs? She kept saying she was a burden to us, always going on about moving back to the old house in the village. Who'd have thought she'd actually do it? As if we'd ever be so hard up that we'd need her meager pension money. Mom didn't even bother going out, turning back to the bedroom to quickly pack a couple of clothes before heading to Grandma's place in our hometown. I quickly followed right behind her. With a sigh, Mom wordlessly took my hand and we headed to the high-speed rail station together. Thankfully we made it onto the last train back home. On the high-speed train, Mom closed her eyes wearily without saying a word. I silently wept while staring into the pitch-black night outside the window, my heart heavy with sorrow. If only I hadn't changed my plans back then, Grandma wouldn't have felt like a burden and left alone. My phone suddenly buzzed several times. A strange number sent several messages. "Ningxu, I never thought you'd be this kind of person. It's fine if you're mad at me, but how could your mother hit mine when she was just kindly delivering your tuition money? Don't you think that's going too far? She's crying her heart out right now. Come to my place immediately and apologize to her in person. Then we'll consider this matter closed. If you keep ignoring me and refuse to apologize, don't blame me for what happens next." I recognized Zhou Siyue at first glance, but I was just too exhausted to even argue. Without hesitation, I blocked this number too, putting all thoughts of him behind me. 14. The last bus had already left when we got off the bullet train, so we hitched a ride with an unlicensed cab. After 2 bumpy hours, we finally reached Grandma's house in the dead of night, under the dim glow of the courtyard light. Grandma sat alone in the main room, lost in thought. She jumped when she saw us, wiped her tears, then immediately started scolding us. Mom and I burst into tears too. That night, the three of us held each other and wept for what felt like hours. I stubbornly refused to study in Hong Kong, while Grandma and Mom kept pleading with me desperately. Finally, Grandma laid down the ultimatum. If I didn't go, she wouldn't return to Beijing to live with Mom. I had to nod along to placate her for the moment. The next day, Mom returned to Beijing first while Grandma stubbornly refused to leave. Wanting to stay in the countryside for a while, Mom had no choice but to leave me behind to look after Grandma. A nice break for me too. After all, Beijing had its fair share of people and situations that weighed on my mind. Life in the countryside was peaceful, and my mood improved considerably. A week later, I suddenly received a WeChat message from Meng Yan. The message told me to give up completely after reading it, leaving no room for any illusions. She sent me a video of Jiang Meng's birthday celebration. In the opulent villa ballroom, Jiang Meng, dressed like a princess in her finest attire, swayed gracefully in Zhou Siyue's arms as they danced, his formal wear complementing her elegance. The romantic waltz melody swirled around them, drawing murmurs of admiration from onlookers enchanted by the perfect pairing. The camera captured it all, their gazes locked, as if the world beyond each other had dissolved into the background. The final notes faded, and the dance concluded. Jiang Meng rose on tiptoe and boldly pressed her lips against Zhou Siyue's. The crowd's teasing cheers nearly raised the roof. Zhou Siyue merely froze for a second, not angry at all, even cracking a smile. I turned off the video, unable to watch any longer. Even though I dislike Jiang Meng, I can't help but admit they make a perfect match. They truly belong to the same world. Even after deciding to let Zhou Siyue go, my heart still aches. Digging my nails into my palm, maybe physical pain could numb the heartache. Pretending not to care, I cleaned every corner of the house to exhaust myself. Working late into the night, hunger struck, so I fished out a baked sweet potato Grandma had tucked in the wood stove for me. Sitting alone on the threshold of the main hall, I cradled the sweet potato as I ate. Somehow, bite after bite, the sweet potato began tasting strangely salty. It tastes awful. I hadn't stayed long in the countryside before Grandma urged me to return to Beijing, wanting to work for my tuition. I hastily brought Grandma back to the capital with me. 15. The days that followed passed like clockwork, routine yet fleeting. Between part-time jobs, college acceptance letters, and helping Mom with her stall, I was swamped every day with no time for anything else. I even skipped the school's honor ceremony for students admitted to top universities. I muted the class group chat too. I forced myself not to dwell on unpleasant people or memories. I occasionally get bizarre text messages, but I just delete them without a second glance. On the day the acceptance letter arrived, Grandma and Mom cried for hours again. I didn't dare bring up dropping out of school ever again, because during that trip back home, Grandma secretly sold the old house. It wasn't much money, but they gave me every penny for college. Yet I still worried about them being alone in Beijing. Mom noticed and made a bold decision. We terminated the low-rent housing here and moved the whole family to Shenzhen. Having them closer means we can reunite during holidays. With all worries behind me, I happily prepared for school registration and the move. The day we finally got everything settled and moved our whole family to Shenzhen, right before boarding, I unexpectedly received a call from an unknown number. The moment he spoke, I recognized Zhou Siyue's voice. Ningxiu. After all this time to cool off, you must have figured things out by now. You skipped the graduation banquet, missed every class reunion, I'd even traveled abroad and back, and you're still holding a grudge. After over a month of silence, I never expected him to reach out. I was too stunned to hang up. The person across from me sighed helplessly before continuing resignedly. Fine. The homeroom teacher said you've confirmed your enrollment at HKU. That puts my mind at ease. I know you refused my mom's money last time, but don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Living expenses there are high. I prepared 500,000 for you. The card's in your mailbox. Pin's your birthday. I know you don't want to see me, so remember to pick it up yourself. We'll be starting school soon too. I'll visit you in Hong Kong during National Day. For years will fly by. Don't worry, I'll keep my promise. I didn't respond to him. I never told him we'd moved, that address was no longer valid. Toss the old SIM card and pop in a new one. Won't be needing the old one anymore. Maybe youth is just like this one-way ticket. From now on, I don't plan on returning to Beijing ever again. 16. After settling my grandmother and mother in, I could finally report to HKU with peace of mind, though the climate here in Guangdong is a bit hot. The mild winters actually suit Grandma better. Mom restarted her street stall here, with the city's vibrant nightlife. Business is far better than back in Beijing. My university life is gradually falling into place. At first I could barely understand anything, but gradually I started picking up some Cantonese phrases. The coursework here is incredibly demanding. It took me ages to adjust to this pace. Outside class, all my free time goes to part-time jobs to earn money, except when visiting my grandma and mom in Shenzhen. I'm constantly running around like crazy, no bandwidth for anything else. By the time I recovered my composure, National Day was just around the corner. Suddenly remembering that airport phone call when leaving Beijing, I turned around and saw Zhou Siyue right at the school gate. He remained that refreshingly youthful boy, just with a touch more maturity, though we hadn't been apart for long. It felt like lifetimes had passed. It suddenly hit me that I hadn't thought about him in ages. I stood frozen as Zhou Siyue closed the distance between us in quick strides. Ningxu. Uncontainable delight sparkled in his eyes, his lips curling into an irrepressible smile. I've waited so long to finally meet you. After you changed your number, I couldn't find you anywhere. Had to ask around through friends just to track you down. I nodded and responded indifferently, what do you want? Seeing my response, Zhou Siyue let out a relieved sigh and cautiously probed. I promised to visit you during National Day, remember? Seems you're doing well here. Guess I made the right choice. What do you say? Honor me with a meal together. I shook my head. Got classes. Can't make it. Zhou Siyue looked disappointed. Hey, you're not still mad, are you? I've apologized and made up for it financially, yet you're still holding a grudge. I'm at my wit's end. What will it take for you to forgive me? Oh, by the way, Jiang Meng asked me to bring you this gift as her peace offering. I stared at the Hermes scarf he offered but didn't take it. I didn't call him out on his lie. That girl in sunglasses and a straw hat standing behind the tree near where he just appeared, if I'm not mistaken, that was Jiang Meng herself. We came to Hong Kong for vacation together. So why bother lying about coming to see me, after rejecting him? I turned to leave immediately. Zhou Siyue stepped forward and grabbed me. Ningxu, don't push your luck just because we grew up together. Even the deepest bond can be ruined by your antics. Don't come crying to me when that day comes. I nodded in agreement. Fine, have it your way. Zhou Siyue snapped. Great, be my guest, if you've got the guts. Never set foot in Beijing again, and never come looking for me. I nodded and walked away without a second thought. Let him do whatever he wants. But in this age of big data, there's no easy way to hide. 17. For several days in a row, Jiang Meng's Xiahongshu posts kept popping up in my feed, beneath the fireworks at Disney Castle, on the cable cars of Ocean Park, at concerts in the Hong Kong Coliseum, and through the floor-to-ceiling windows of five-star hotels overlooking Victoria Harbor's glittering lights. Every spot bore witness to Zhou Siyue and Jiang Meng's couple photos, even with Zhou Siyue's face pixelated with cartoon stickers. I recognized him instantly. I couldn't resist scrolling through Jiang Meng's little red book. Jiang Meng cultivates an online persona as Peking University's quintessential intellectual beauty, so her comment sections overflow with praises for this perfect, white, rich, and beautiful girl and her equally privileged male counterparts. She and Zhou Siyue were indeed the campus celebrities among Peking University's freshmen. Even classmates I barely knew would occasionally slide into my DMs fishing for information about Zhou Siyue. Seeing those youthful photos Jiang Meng posted of her and Zhou Siyue by Weiming Lake left me with a bittersweet ache. This was supposed to be the college life I'd dreamed of for so long, but seeing those lush broadleaf trees outside our lecture hall, I realized things weren't so bad after all. Guess we all have that nosy streak. I uninstalled Xiahongshu altogether to stop stumbling upon her profile. Stop wasting your time on them. I've regained my peace of mind. During winter break, I celebrated Lunar New Year in Shenzhen for the first time with my grandma and mom, wherever they are. That's home, though the rental was small. We were perfectly happy there. On New Year's Eve, I received a call from Zhou Siyue. I don't know who he asked or how many times he tried, but he always managed to get my contact information. Ningxu, didn't you return to Beijing for the holidays? I went to your place, but all the lights were off. Did you go back to your hometown? I answered absent-mindedly, feeling little emotion upon hearing his voice again. Oh, so are you coming back to Beijing before school starts? Zhou Siyue probed cautiously. Probably not. About that 500. 000, I checked and saw you haven't touched it. How are you covering tuition then? If there's nothing else, I need to go celebrate New Year's with Grandma. I avoided answering his question. There was a hint of disappointment on the other end. Oh, okay. I'll come visit you in Hong Kong after next semester starts then. After a brief silence, I decided to be upfront. Actually, that won't be necessary. We're just classmates. No need for visits. Zhou Siyue immediately denied. Ningxu, are you still upset? After all these years of friendship, are you really giving up on me? I denied. The moment you chose to lie for someone else, you stopped being my friend. From now on, don't come looking for me or contact me anymore. This is really disrupting my life. Zhou Siyue panicked. Wait, Ningxu, you've got this all wrong. You're just going away for college, not settling down there permanently. You promised you'd come back after graduation. Remember, I promised to wait for you in Beijing too. So don't you dare change your mind and stand me up. My head was throbbing, but I still tried to patiently lay everything out clearly. First, I never agreed to anything about you waiting for me or not. Second, whether I return to Beijing after graduation or go elsewhere is none of your business. I've truly lost patience for your games. Don't contact me again. Zhou Siyue refused to give up. stubbornly insisting, "That's impossible, your home is right here, I don't believe you'll never come back. No matter what you think, I'll keep waiting here for you. I won't be with anyone else, when you return, we'll get married." 18. I didn't want to argue anymore, so I hung up immediately and decided to cut the call the moment I heard his voice next time. He can think whatever he wants. If it weren't for some classmates visiting me in Hong Kong casually mentioning Zhou Siyue and Jiang Meng's situation, I'd have believed his version of events. His so-called waiting for me in Beijing didn't stop him from getting cozy with Jiang Meng. This more than friends, less than lovers game hits different, way more intoxicating than those bland, saccharine romances. A three-way relationship is too crowded. I refuse to be counterweights in his balancing act. Watching him play the impartial mediator like some self-righteous referee, life drifted on uneventfully. I thought ignoring Zhou Siyue would make him forget me gradually, but to my surprise, he never gave up. The first year passed, I secured a better scholarship and earned enough from part-time jobs to cover my living expenses. When Zhou Siyue visited me in Hong Kong during summer break, he was both happy and a little wistful to see I was doing well. By the second year, Mom had made good money in Shenzhen and, with my encouragement, found love again. Zhou Siyue tried to visit me during winter break, even tracking down my grandmother's hometown, only to discover our ancestral home had been sold. In my third year, I was fortunate to secure an exchange program in France, which opened my eyes to a broader world. Rumor has it Zhou Siyue searched for me in Hong Kong and even flew to France, but we kept missing each other. By the fourth year, I graduated smoothly and landed a decent-paying job in Shenzhen without pursuing further studies. And then he came up with that ridiculous explanation. Yongsua actually teared up on the spot when he saw me standing with a more impressive guy holding an even bigger bouquet of roses. Then he realized I'd not only secured a job in Shenzhen, but my entire family had relocated there, making any return to Beijing impossible. That's when he finally gave up all hope. Rumor has it that shortly after returning to Beijing, he hastily decided to pursue further studies abroad, no matter how hard his mother tried to persuade him. He refused to come back to China for career development. His mother even called my mom, asking me to convince him to return since the family business needed him to take over. My mom obviously ignored her, gave her a piece of her mind, and then blocked her number. As for Jiang Meng, she got into Peking University through art program admissions, but her grades were so poor with too many failed courses that she only received a certificate of incomplete studies upon graduation. She ended up following Zhou Siyue abroad in disgrace. Zhou Siyue's family then started looking down on Jiang Meng for not earning a proper degree, forbidding their relationship. I never bothered to find out how that whole mess eventually turned out. Life's too long for anyone to claim they'll never make mistakes. The regrets of my youth ultimately became the fuel for my perseverance. Even if you've chosen the wrong path in life, there's always a chance for redemption. Never say die.